Hello everybody and welcome to this instruction video. I'll be showing you how to make week 4 of the Scheepjes Crochet Along 2015 Flights of Fancy. We'll be using the yarn from the kit, which is linen soft yarn and a 4mm hook. Now you'll notice that the design for week 4 is exactly the same as for week 3. The only difference is the color combination you're using. I'll actually be using the footage from week 3, so do take note of this. It is the same design, just a different color combination. The original pattern you can download online. I'll put a link in the description where you can find the pattern. I want to thank you for watching. I hope this is a useful video for you. Round 1, you start with a magic ring, just like before. The tips and tricks of this crochet along also show exactly how to make a magic ring. We're going to start with a chain 4. This is the first treble as well as an extra chain 1 that we need between trebles. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3 is for the first treble, and then a fourth one before a chain 1 between trebles. So that's a chain 4 in total. Now we're going to be working in the magic ring, and we're going to be making 11 trebles and chain 1s in between. This is our first treble, worked in the ring, followed by a chain 1. This we're going to be repeating 11 times in total. So here goes number 2 and a chain 1, and the third treble and a chain 1. Number 4, still working in the ring. 4, chain 1, 5, chain 1. We're going to work like this until we have 12 double crochets in total. And now we need to make one more. This is double crochet number 12 in the ring, followed by a chain 1. Now we can close the ring by pulling on the end, and we're going to close with a slip stitch in the third of these 4 chain stitches. There we go, and that completes round number 1. For round 2, this round we're going to be making puff stitches in the chain 1 spaces between the trebles from the last round. First we need to move to the chain 1 space. We're going to do this with a slip stitch into that chain 1 space. There we go. Our first puff stitch we are going to be making slightly different from the others. This one we start with a chain 2. Now we're going to be making a puff stitch where we only pull up the loops 2 times. The other ones we're going to be doing this 3 times. So let's yarn over into the chain 1 space and pull up a loop. I'm bringing them up reasonably high, so really to be on level with this chain 2 here. I'm bringing up this loop, then I yarn over again into the chain 1 space and pull up another loop. So now you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on your hook. I'm going to take them all off in one go, and while I'm doing this I'm really going to push upwards so as not to snag my hook somewhere in the loops while I'm pulling through. So yarn over or pull through. That's your first puff stitch made. Chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to be making a full puff stitch in the next chain 1 space, and that's also going to be our repeat unit, is a puff stitch in this space and a chain 2. That's our repeat. We're going to be doing that 11 times, so through every chain 1 space. So in the next space, so start with yarn over, insert in the chain 1 space, pick up a loop. Again, I'm going to pull it up reasonably high. Do this a second time, yarn over, in the chain 1 space, pick up a loop, and then again a third time, yarn over, in the chain 1 space, and pick up a loop. This means you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on your hook. I'm going to take them all off in one go. And again, pushing upwards so as not to snag the hook. Through all of them in one go. And chain 2. 1, 2. You can see how you've just made that puff stitch. And the chain 2 following. So this is your repeat unit. I'm going to show you once more. Yarn over, in the chain 1 space, pull up a loop. Again, second time, yarn over, in the chain 1 space, pull up a loop. And a third time, yarn over, in the chain 1 space, pull up a loop. Through all the loops on your hook, all 7 of them, take them off in one go and chain 2. 1, 2. This repeat unit, do that in each and every chain 1 space. And when we get here, I'll show you how to close again. Almost round. We need to make the repeat one more time in the last chain 1 space. So yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pick up a loop 2 times, and yarn over, pick up a loop 3 times. All 7 loops take off in one go. Chain 2, 1, 2, and now I'm going to close to the top of the puff stitch from the beginning, so not the chain 2 but the puff stitch itself. And I'm going to close in the top of that stitch with a slip stitch. You can cut off your yarn and pull through, because in the next round you're going to be using a different color, like so. Round 3, we're going to start where we just finished in that slip stitch by joining a new color yarn, also with a slip stitch. So in the top of this puff stitch, I'm going to enter into the top of this stitch. This is where you just made the slip stitch join, and pick up the new yarn color with a slip stitch. And of course, you will really have to hold on tight to your end that you don't accidentally pull it out. We're now going to be making trebles 4 togethers, but our first one, of course, we need to make slightly different, and we're going to work the legs of our trebles in 2 puff stitches at a time. Now our first one, we're going to start by making, let me just grab a hold of everything here. We're going to make it with a chain 2. There we go. And now we're actually going to be working a treble 3 together, where the first leg is going to be on this puff stitch and the next one is going to be on this stitch here. So 2 legs here and 1 there. So treble 3 together, yarn over, through into that same stitch where we just made the slip stitch, and take off the first 2 loops, then stop. And now here at the top of the puff stitch, that's that stitch there, going to be making the other 2 legs of the treble 3 together. Let's yarn over, so into that top of that stitch, and I'm taking the threads with me from the beginning and end of the previous round. You can see how I'm on top of that stitch there. Take off 2 loops and do it once more, and take off 2 loops. Now you have 4 loops on your hook. Take them all off in one go. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're ready for the repeat. We're now again going to be working a treble, but this time a 4 together, and 2 legs are going to be in this puff stitch and 2 legs are going to be in the next puff stitch. Do note that the way the puff stitch is made, you see here this stitch belongs to the chain space and the next one is from the puff stitch. So do take note of this. The next one are treble 4 together. First 2 going to start here where we just finished. We're going to start with the first 2 legs of the treble 4 together. So that's 1 and 2, and then on top of the next puff stitch, so it's yarn over the top of that stitch, still taking the threads with me. Okay, that's 1 leg and then a second in that same stitch. So now you should have 5 loops on your hook, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and take them all off at once. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your repeat unit. So this we're going to be making all the way around. I will show you the repeat once more. So yarn over, and in the stitch where we just finished, we're again going to start with a first half of a treble and then a second one as well. And then we're going to go to the next puff stitch and work 2 in this one also. See at the top of that puff stitch. That's 1 and 2. Take all 5 loops off in one movement and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your repeat. Go like this all the way around, and I'll see you for the last bit here to close this round. Almost completely round. Need to make the last repeat, which is of course on this stitch where we just finished and in the puff stitch where we started. So here you will have no empty stitches to work in. So yarn over the top of that puff stitch, take off the first leg, make a second leg and take off, and then of course also here where we started in that space, it's 1 and a second is 2. So 4 trebles, half mile semi trebles, and 5 loops. Take them all off in one go. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to close with a slip stitch in the top here, so in the treble 3 together that we started with. So not in the chain 3 stitch here, but really in the top of this treble. To close with a slip stitch. There we go. That completes this part. So I'm going to cut off and pull through. You will of course still need to work away these yarn ends, albeit that with working away, taking the thread with me, I've already worked away a lot of this. Personally, I'm going to leave this thread, the one from the center, from the start. I'm going to leave this because this way I know exactly what's the front and the back of the pattern. This yarn I am going to work in. One thing you should note is that this one I've made before, are they the same size, yes or no, and do block, because you clearly see the difference between blocked and unblocked. Also make sure your patterns are the same size and they're still 9.5 centimeters before blocking. You need to make 8 of these motifs in total, and then you're ready for next week. I want to thank you for watching. and I hope this was a useful video for you.